EOTech sight has been around for quite some time. It's had some problems in the past with military usage, and they had to admit publicly that their sights were flawed, and the flawed sights were recalled and replaced for customers. And then the military went through a recertification process, and to my knowledge, Cranes has recertified the current generation of EOTechs for military service. But I get a lot of questions about the sight, and the biggest problem that I've had with the sights over the years are several-fold. First of all, the early sights, like what you saw in my previous FS2000 video that had the batteries mounted parallel to the barrel, those would batter the contacts under recoil, and eventually the sight would just shut off while you were using it. That was a big problem. Later versions like this XPS-3 would transversely mount the battery to rectify the problem so that recoil forces wouldn't batter those contacts. But I also had a problem with the fact that the sights did lose zero based upon wild temperature shifts and humidity shifts. But I also don't necessarily like the fact that they have battery life that's measured in terms of hours versus years, like some of the competitive products out there from Aimpoint, Trijicon, heck, even Primary Arms nowadays has battery life measured in terms of years. But still, is this thing a good optic? Is this something that you should use? Well, I can't really tell you that, but what I will do is share my thoughts on the current generation of the EOTech sights in this video. But one thing that we did do, we got our little pet sweat bees buzzing all around us here at the new range. But what we did do 6 months ago was zero this sight when it was 16 degrees outside. We're going to start off the video by going down to the 50-yard line and shooting for groups to see if, at about in the mid-70s today, if this sight still maintains its zero. Okay, so let's start off with that quick test. Let's come back up here on the hill and do some shooting with the EOTech and talk about also this 3.25 magnifier and what I think about these little devices. When you get old like me, you start to forget things. I remember zeroing this rifle with the EOTech on it when it was 16 degrees outside. I got picture evidence of it. We may have even shot video of it, but Jason and I can't find the video. So we're probably going to have to redo this test when it gets cold outside. Last time we did it, we know it was February 20th, and it was 16 degrees because we have an Instagram photo. And we were pretty sure we shot video of it. We can't find it. But we're going to go ahead and confirm zero now. It's about the mid-70s. The hottest it's gotten here in Northwest Indiana this year is probably mid-80s. So we're going to go ahead and check zero to see if the thermal difference causes a point of impact shift. Now we know that the gun was set up originally for an OSS can. So we're going to fire a 5-shot group with the Wolf Gold, which is what we typically use for such testing. But we've also brought out some 55 grain Federal, which is our new standard. And we have the OSS muzzle device on there, but we'll even go ahead and confirm zero with the silencer in place. So first up, we have some Federal. We're going to fire a 5-shot group with Federal. We have the EOTech on here. This is the Op Mod from our friends over at Optics Planet with the EOTech Op Mod flip to the side magnifier. All right, let's go ahead and see what we get in terms of point of impact. At 50 yards, we know he shot it on the old Mac range, which is only 50 yards. Wow, this ADM's got an amazing trigger in it. All right, that was the 5 rounds of Federal. Definitely high, but maybe just a scotch right. Let's try the Wolf Gold. Okay, so the rifle was zeroed using the Wolf Gold because it's in the black. So it does not look to me as though the point of impact shift has changed at all. All right, so let's get this thing zeroed at 50. We probably want to be just a little bit under, not dead center, so that at 100 we're dead on. So we've pretty much confirmed that the EOTech more than likely held its zero, which is good to go, not surprising. All right, so if you guys see me all of a sudden stop talking and whip this thing out, this is my bug assault gun, if you will. So you anti-gunners, this is actually bug assault. That's what it says right on the side. So here's your assault weapon. Put table salt in it and we can shoot some of these little flying bugs out of the sky. You have to get creative out here because the sweat bees on the new range are a little bit annoying. We got a nice breeze right now getting rid of them. All right, so now that we've confirmed that we have this thing zeroed out and we'll test it again this fall, like I said earlier, let's go ahead and talk about the EOTech. Now, I have not been the biggest fan of EOTechs in the past, which is why you don't see them on my firearms, but they are good sights in my opinion. Now, we're going to talk about the Magnifier. I just recently got another email asking me about magnifiers and do I recommend them? If so, what kind, and all that other stuff. This is the only one I own. And that's a reason for that, because I don't really get into them. I think they're big and they're clunky, and they don't really, their cost to weight benefit and the offset with the huge goobery thing hanging off the side of it is just not my cup of tea. I don't really think I need it. Now, some folks out there swear by them. So again, this is just my opinion. I'm not claiming to know everything about this or all of its applications, especially in warfare and stuff like that. That's not what I'm here to talk to you about. I'm just going to give you my opinions on this thing based upon my use and how I shoot rifles here in the good old-fashioned civilian world. Today we're going to be shooting 223 Federal 55 grain. It's our new standard, and that is supplied to us by our friends over at Federal. It's free of charge. They support us here at the channel by supplying us with ammunition, so that's muchly appreciated. Let's go ahead and load up another 20 rounds into the ADM rifle. Now, the ADM does in fact have a Geissele trigger in it, which is a really nice little trigger system. We'll go ahead and charge the weapon here. And now I have the magnifier in place. This will be flipped aside. When you do that, you can use the non-magnified EOTech. When you flip it over here, you get the 3.25 magnification. Right here on top, you have your adjustments so you can center your reticle. So when you first put this on, more than likely the reticle is going to be off to one side or the other when you look through the magnifier. You can zero that reticle in your magnifier using these adjustment tools here that are provided to you. Obviously, I've already done that and this thing's ready to go. So let's start off by shooting at 100 yards at a hostage taker target, and let's see how well I can do with the 3.25 magnifier. Easily hitting the hostage taker in the face. Now, I will say that 3 power magnification gives me more data downrange. I can see a more clear image. I can see what's going on around the target, and I can make a more precise shot. I'm going to flip this magnifier to the side and resume shooting at the hostage taker's face. Obviously, at 100 yards, I don't need that magnification to make the exact same shot. All right, let's stretch it out to 250 yards and see what type of results I get. So the 3.25 magnifier has the ability for you to be able to focus it to your particular eye. So you do have that ocular side focus. Now, right here is the proper eye relief where you have a good eye box. You don't have any black or blurriness coming into your sight picture, so it has a very short eye relief. Of course, when you're running just a red dot sight, doesn't matter if you're this far back or this close, nothing really changes with what you see. Not true with this in place. You want to get your eye very, very close to it, which isn't an issue for low recoil rifles like the 5.56. All right, so let's try our hand at 250 yards here. We're just going to dead hold and see where we hit. Low, a little low. So I'm only hitting about that low with the dead hold center of mass on the target at 250 yards with the magnifier. Let's go ahead and try a few rounds without the magnifier. Oops, I pulled one. Got too cocky there, I was shooting really fast. The point being, I don't need that 3x magnification to effectively engage a target at 250 yards. So, again, if you take a look at the size and the weight of the magnifier for what it offers, which is increased visibility at further range, but the size and the awkwardness of it, just the benefit to me isn't there. I don't want one on my rifle. I don't think it's going to benefit me. Now, if you're talking about a self-defense situation, then you're going to have to explain to a jury how a guy at 250, 300, 400 yards is a threat to you, right? So typically, if you're using a rifle for self-defense, you're going to be working at much closer distances with 100 yards or less. So that's why a lot of people use red dot sights. That's why I use red dot sights. I just don't have a need to magnify a red dot sight. If I want a magnified optic, I'll put an Elcan Spectre DR on there. Granted, they cost more than the rifle. Or you can pick up any number of optics out there that are 1 to 6 or 1 to 8 power that cost about as much as this package does. This red dot sight with this magnifier is right around $900. So it's not like it's an inexpensive option. So, in my opinion, there are better options out there if magnification is what you're looking for, even if you're into gun games. Now, when it comes to using these in combat at extended distances, I don't know. I have no experience doing that. I'm talking about civilian applications. I just don't see a need or a particular use for the magnifier. Now, the red dot sight, I like everything about the new EOTechs. I like the big open sight picture. I like that very precise 1 MOA center dot. Of course, they have different reticles that are available, different colors. This one's red, you can get them in green. And I like the fact that they've transversely mounted the battery, so we no longer have the contact issues, no longer apparently have the point of impact issues, and the issues with the thermal issues that the older versions had. It's a great sight. The only thing I can really ding it for is it's a bit big, it's clunky. This one has a quick detach mount on it, uses a CR123A battery on it. Yeah, the only thing I really ding it for is the fact that its battery life sucks compared to the competition that's out there. So if you're using one of these, you got to constantly make sure that your battery is good to go and always have spare batteries on hand. When I'm running an aim point or a Trigicon or even, like I said, primary arms, I can just remind myself, set a calendar date to replace my battery every 3 or 4 years, and I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about it, and that's leaving the darn sight on. So that's kind of where I stand with the EOTechs. Let's do some more shooting with it though, because again, I like the sight picture. That holographic sight does a great job at giving you a great view of the area around you. Your situational awareness is really, really high when you're using a sight like this. Of course, you use it with both eyes open. The EOTech is a great red dot sight. It's a solid alternative on the red dot sight market if you can get past its battery life. So that being said, the 3.25 magnified optic, nope, I could do without it. If I want a magnified optic, I would run a magnified optic. I like red dot sights because of their field of view. This takes that away. I like red dot sights because of how fast they are into action. They're not eye relief sensitive. This takes that away. It just doesn't appeal to me. Now, that's not to say there's other people out there that are, professional gunfighters or whatever that swear by these things. So again, it's worth exactly what you paid for it. Me personally, I have no use for that. So with the red dot sight, some folks like the look of the EOTech. It's a sharp looking sight. It certainly offers a great sight picture, and they command a premium price, but they fall under a high-end aim point. They used to be kind of comparatively priced, if I remember right, a decade or so ago, but aim point has really gotten pretty salty for their latest generation of optics. So yeah, it's up to you guys. You decide whether or not if it's something that you want to do. If you want to run the Magnifier, if you just want to run the EOTech, whatever. Do I have a serious problem with the EOTechs? Not at all. I think the current generation of sights run just fine. This one's caused no problems. even though we haven't extensively tested it. You know, we haven't beaten it against trees or anything like that, but it's relatively armored, and its controls are waterproof, recessed. These are your brightness controls. This is your quick release mount. I mean, everything seems to be well thought out in the current generation of sights. If you guys would like to continue to support us producing content like this, where we're trying to be as honest as humanly possible without any biases, because we don't take money from Aimpoint, we don't take money from Optics Planet, we don't take money from anybody. We're Patreon, or other words, viewer supported. We do have a link down below. Consider swinging by, checking out that link, and becoming a Patreon supporter. Also, please swing by and check out coppercustom.com. They sell stuff like this cool ADM rifle that we have out here this afternoon. And last but not least, we are Twitch gamers. If you're a Patreon supporter, send us your PSN network name and we'll add you as a friend, and you can join us in a live stream online. All right, guys, I thank you for 11 years of support, and we'll talk to you guys soon.